call this meeting to order. This is Tuesday, September 28th at 6:30 p.m. And I will do the roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Villalobos. Councilmember Bunker.
Here.
Councilmember Shell Allen.
Here.
Councilmember McLeod.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton.
Here.
And Mayor Glaze is here. Okay, if you could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And can I do the invocation?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, am I doing it? Oh, I don't do this.
Yeah.
George, thank you for this time to meet tonight to discuss the business of the city of Martindale. Please give us wisdom as we discuss these matters. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay, and it is 6:31 and we will open the public hearing.
All right. So we have one audience member in the city hall, and it does not appear we have any others on Zoom at this time. So as I go forward, I'll probably go through this pretty quickly, sir, since this is the same information you saw the last time. And if you have any questions, go ahead and stop me and we can get into it. Let me make sure I share screens for the folks on Zoom in case someone joins us. All right, so this is a public hearing on the budget and tax rate. Components of our budget are the general fund, utility fund, specialty revenue fund, and the grant or community development fund. The general fund funds normal city operations. Utility fund funds our wastewater and solid waste services. Special revenue fund is for those with the restricted use. And then the grant community development funds are grant funded operations. Our proposed tax rate is 42.62 cents per $100 of valuation. It will raise property tax revenues by $12,805.97 compared to the prior year, which is just over 3.5% increase. Of that, nearly $5,000 is attributable to new property being added to the tax roll. Where do your property taxes go? 57% of it goes to city personnel expenses. Another 30% goes to contract services. And the remaining 14% are savings, operating expenses, and other items. Roads are funded partially out of the contract services item and also within our restricted account. So that's why some of the road funding you see here, that's from your property values, from the property taxes, is not the entire road amount. General fund balance summary, all the way on the right-hand column is the proposed budget. It generates $555,000 in revenue and expenses $555,000 in revenue, and the budget is in balance. Here's a look at the similar data on the different revenue streams. Year over year, look at the property taxes, municipal court sales tax, franchise fees, and the miscellaneous revenue that comes into the general fund. You'll notice the changes in the municipal court, and that's based off of revenues underperforming against budget expectations. You'll see the sales tax portion has changed since the 2020 actuals, and that's due to us accounting for the street and road maintenance fund revenues that come from our sales taxes being incorporated in our special revenue fund versus our general fund. Franchise fees are steady, and miscellaneous general fund fluctuates to some degree from year over year. The expenses, payroll expenses, we'll see an increase in our projected payroll expenses. This is due to an increase in our full-time equivalent staffing. So part of that is a COPS grant match and other items, which we'll get to on the other slide. Operating expenses, other minor expenses in the 7,000 accounting series. Other contractual services, you'll see some savings that we're hoping to achieve there. We're budgeting for a capital improvement transfer, so we're in our budgets calling for that transfer of $31,000 to put us in position for a hazard mitigation grant savings, emergency fund savings of transfer of $7,000 this year. And the last IMC sponsored commerce grant is not budgeted, but it was envisioned in our future year spend plan. Diving deeper into personnel expenses, 2%. Those changes include a 2% cost of living increase for the first full pay period in January, excluding the municipal judge. The COPS hiring grant city match starting in about May 2022. This would increase our police force staffing by third, about 50%. So go from 2 full-timers to 3. Includes a $15 an hour minimum wage for the city employees, funds a part-time building and planning director and code enforcement, and continues funding the parks strategic planning efforts that are ongoing, which we just had our first workshop this last weekend, and we understand it went very well.
Or,
The park strategic planning.
oh, okay. Yeah.
For more information on that, check out our website or see your utility mailer. There's some information in there, I believe. It does discontinue a performance award that was envisioned in the FY21 budget, but went unused, so it was removed. Building and planning director will take on a lot of these additional roles, permits, code enforcement, planning activities, and address some of these roles and responsibilities as delegated in our ordinances. Street and roads, the main feature here is that on the far right portion is we're going to see the total combined spending of street and roads. And so we're budgeting once again at about $40,000. A comment was made last time around, which still holds true, that we have underspent in that budget item for this last fiscal year. We'll probably be about $35,000 to $36,000 spent. So
That's going to go back into roads.
likely would be, yeah. Most typically, what we do after the fiscal year ends and we have our final numbers. Once we have our final numbers for the year and we close the fiscal year out, we'll have a accounting of our budget surplus, and typically that budget surplus is used for.
We're going to do that during the meeting.
Yeah, we'll probably do that in October.
Okay.
Maybe the end of October, our third meeting in October. Kind of depends on how the calendar shakes out. Whether I submit my timesheet on time so he can close out the fiscal year.
Okay, move on.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all good. The next item is the other general fund expenses, other items of interest. So this does plan for a reduction in election expenses, not budgeting for a November election. So let your friends and neighbors who might have a ballot initiative pending know that we're not budgeting for it. Parks expenses, that's kind of a joke. The parks expenses or budget is $19,000 again this year. You'll see how that over the course of the last 40 years, how that has increased to that point, and then we're maintaining that going forward in this budget. Audit fees, no significant change there. Budgets versus actuals. And then property maintenance and repair, we're budgeting closer to what the more recent expenses has been over the last 2 years. Continuing on, attorney fees, they fluctuate based on our needs and requirements. But they're budgeted at 28,000 this year. IT upgrades and maintenance. This one, we're overspending this year. We're going to try to tighten our belt a little bit and get that down. Try to find some savings where we can.
You bring those turns to you.
You know, if I quit calling you, I probably could. Probably as I call you too dang often. Library contract goes up, that funding amount requirement goes up this year, so we're budgeting at 21,000. And then vehicle lease purchase, which we set aside $8,000 for a lease purchase agreement. We'll be discussing that in future city council meeting, whether that continues or whether we just pay it off with budget surplus or other revenues that we have. Funds that we have, not revenues. Utility fund, again, far right column, proposed budget revenue, $319,000. Total expenses, $319,000. The proposed budget is in balance. That includes wastewater services and solid waste services. And this for revenues, this is based off our customers and usage. And then other smaller miscellaneous revenues, late fees and what the rest. The expenses, you'll see the raise in payroll expenses based off of the rate increase, the hourly rate increase for our utility clerks. Other operating expenses are roughly in line with where we've been, increased slightly. And then that operating expense is also a percentage of total revenue. So as our revenues go up, those operating expenses, 15% of that revenue gets transferred to our general fund to pay for paper, ink, postage, that sort of stuff for our billing and other office supplies and items. So that covers that overhead requirement. Solid waste expenses projected based off of our contract and customer base, and stormwater system operations and repair budget at $68,000 this year. And then some other expenses. And then part of this budget includes a request to increase to cover the payroll raise. We're looking and other items and continue our maintenance funding level within the budget, requesting that city council consider a change to the monthly rates, but this will not be considered tonight. That'll be considered in a future agenda item as per the prior council meeting where it was tabled until October. So.
Hope to see where the money goes.
So on the over 2,000 gallons, let's see, it would then be $4.50 per thousand?
Yes. So if you were a consumer of 5,000 gallons of water, which is a pretty significant amount,
Mhm.
your bill would be $26 plus multiples of the 3,000 each. So it'd be $4.50 times 3. So it'll be $13 extra. So your total bill would be $39 versus 34 or something like that.
Mhm. And did we ever figure out why the commercial side is more?
I think is that was done when they initially set the rates back in 2014.
Okay.
We can make them the same, but likely what that would do is it increase the rates on residential by a marginal amount. Because we don't have that many commercial accounts currently.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be a big difference if we reduce it now. But there's
Commercial's always more.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I just was curious.
We already voted on.
we haven't voted on this yet.
I thought we did.
No, we
Just
just
tabled it.
That's what we're.
Tabled it. We tabled it.
Oh.
Oh, and this.
Yes.
particular-
This particular issue was tabled. Yeah.
No, that's already been.
Yeah, we did.
All right, subject to any questions, I see we had somebody join on Zoom, but I don't think if they have a question on Zoom, feel free to chat it in and we can address it, or, sir, if you have any questions on the public hearing portion.
Not at the moment.
All right,
So the budget like was 354,354, the projected, and then 354 for the spent.
yeah, so our general fund is at projected revenues of, budget revenues of 555,000 with similar expenses, a balance on the expenses, 555,000. Then on our utility fund, it's 319 revenues and expenses.
But that is so close. I mean, does that put us in a squeeze anywhere else, or do we just work
We-
with the budget as best as possible to hope that what we're making and what we're spending
We
stays
try,
the same?
we try to be conservative in projecting revenues lower than what we anticipate and projecting expenses a little bit higher. So it is risk adjusted to some degree on both the utility fund and the general fund. And then we work within the bounds of the budget. Our goal is to be at budget or below for every line item. And we've achieved that for the most part this last year, except I think we only had one significant cost overrun, which was in our IT spending. But for the most part, we're pretty good.
So the wastewater 56, but does that incorporate the lift station and all that work that we have to do on that?
Yes, it incorporates the maintenance and repair and servicing of our lift stations, our treatment plant, and our sewer system. So there are many deferred maintenance costs that we have put off until we had a fuller picture on the American Recovery Plan Act funding, the other budget surplus that we might have in the general fund, and some other items. So when we look at we've underspent thus far for the projected year, end of year, for our spending. So we budgeted 57,000 on that item. When I put this together a couple weeks ago, our projected end of year was going to be about 48,000. Could probably be close to that. So there is about $9,000 there that we could spend to. The biggest concern I had was the Crockett lift station repairs. Those were coming in at, $22,000 to $30,000.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put that on the budget, and I wanted to wait and see what the ARPA funding looked like before presented that again to the city council.
Real
I
quick,
have to
We're still expecting some more, right?
we'll get so the American Recovery Plan Act funding is provided in 2 batches. We got the first batch a couple weeks ago, and we'll get another deposit next year.
real quick question. How old is that plant? Do you know?
The wastewater treatment plant,
And all the lift stations approximately?
about 26, 27 years. It was the 90 something, around that time. We have the builds and everything.
Close to 30 years. Okay.
What's it, 30 years?
Time for an upgrade.
It's time for maintenance,
Yeah, well, I mean, we're probably ending near useful life on some of those pipes.
So we're gonna be discussing that a lot after.
Yeah, probably that third week in October or possibly in November. It's probably when we'll be able to dive deep, and probably a discussion only and get ideas, and then maybe we'll vote on it at that time, or maybe we'll do a workshop. We'll see.
Is there more land out there to expand the evaporation ponds? Or, I mean, is the wastewater plant pretty maxed out? Or I heard maybe
No.
have 1,000 more rooms to add to it, or?
So it's an imprecise science when you're looking at that issue. An engineer would be the qualified person to really give us a hard number. But generally speaking, as I understand our permit from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, we're permitted to irrigate so much water coming out of those ponds, subject to them meeting the different environmental standards. Something like 50,000 gallons a day. We might do like 40,000 gallons in a year. So it's not so much how much water goes in to those ponds, it's how much water comes out. And is that water coming out still clean enough to put on the ground? And so there's a lot of environmental considerations, and engineer would be able to tell us, but
And
there's plenty of capacity from what I understand,
yeah,
You said 40,000 a year?
somewhere in that range,
that's awfully low. We have a lot more capacity.
somewhere in that range.
Okay, but we'll go into that.
Yeah, no, no.
I can do a deep dive and
No,
pull the
no,
data,
it was
but
just generally about use.
Plus, we're talking about these partnerships with these regional
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah.
Down
we might irrigate out there 4 or 5 times a year, and we're doing probably 10, maybe 15,000 gallons anytime we irrigate. So 40, 60, but nowhere close to what we're permitted for, from what I understand.
I'm not sure we irrigate even that many times. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
Depends on how, honestly, what kills us in our irrigation requirements is we get a lot of infiltration into our sewer system. And so we end up pumping a lot of stormwater up into our treatment plant. And that fills the ponds up pretty quick. So if we start plugging some holes, then we might be even in a better position.
Oh, okay.
So I guess our main, excuse me, Lisa, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you. As well as, it's been discussed before, and a lot of residents are not aware or do not realize that the clean out that they have that is on their side for their house often, excuse me, often get run over by lawnmowers, or the lids get broken. And when it is wide open, the rainwater just goes straight down there. And so there've been in times past where, you know, I've thought we should do some kind of campaign to educate people, and, you know, have the lids for $5 at the office or something. But at least for those who are listening, check out your clean out and determine if in fact you have a lid on it. And if you don't, put a piece of wood or a brick or something over it so that rainwater doesn't go in, which increases our output.
Can't do that.
There's some, I've talked with our wastewater operator about different options. We can, pop colored smoke into the pipes and see where it floats out. Take cameras through it. There's some older homes that were destroyed in prior floods out on Southeast River Road. A lot of infiltration comes off from out that way that we need to investigate. So it's a nuisance for now, but it could become a problem in the future as we look.
This is a budget meeting, not a sewage meeting.
Well, real quick question. So basically with our sewer plant, the most issue is the lift station and the piping is our main problem with our,
Lift station, our main expenses in our budget related to the treatment plant wastewater system are the monthly maintenance costs that we pay an operator to perform. And then it's responding to alarms and calls relating to lift station malfunctions of different sorts. Typically, it's because of either a power issue. Most frequently, however, it's a rag. They're getting ragged up. They're getting gunked up and the pumps aren't working. Crockett Lift Station is a unique issue where we're running right now just on one pump with one pipe.
Any other questions on the budget?
All right, that'll conclude the hearing unless there's anything else from the public.
Joe, you have any comment on the budget? Joe's not listening.
Okay. Do I need a motion to close the public? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed at 6:55. Okay, we will now convene the special city council meeting at 6:55. And are there any public comments on any topic?
Joe, you don't have anything you want to say?
No, not right now. I'm trying to figure something in my head here.
Well, this is your chance to say something.
I know,
All
but
right.
that's okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so we'll move on to discussion and action items. The first item to discuss is to adopt an ordinance of the city of Martindale, Texas, setting a tax rate and levying taxes for the support and use of the municipal government for 2002, I believe. Our agenda says 2021 because we're still 2021, and including procedural provision.
Yeah, so on that, the tax year goes on the calendar year, so it's a tax year of 2021, but it impacts our fiscal year 22 budget.
Oh, okay. So it is supposed to say 21. Okay. Any discussion? Do I have a motion to set the tax rate? Accept the tax rate.
I'll make a
Uh,
motion to adopt the ordinance of the city of Martindale, Texas, setting a tax rate and levying taxes for the support and use of the municipal government for 2021 and including procedural provisions.
Thank you, Lisa. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We don't have to state what the tax rate's going to be.
It was already,
She said in accordance with the ordinance.
It's 42.62 cents per $100.
Okay, I think we have to do this individually. So we have a motion and a second. How do you vote, Mike?
yes, accept it.
And Jan, how do you vote?
Nay.
And Sam,
I seconded it.
you seconded it?
Yeah.
Lisa, and you made the motion, so that's a yes. So the motion does carry.
I have to make sure, did you say nay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I said no.
Or absent, yeah.
Okay, we will move on to the next item of discussion. To adopt the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022. Authorizing certain adjustments to the budget and including procedural provisions. Any discussion?
Does this include the increase for the solid waste?
No, we tabled that at the last meeting.
Okay.
I think until the second meeting in October is what was requested.
Okay, so that, that's not part of,
The budget assumes that those revenues will be available, but it does not, if the rates are not increased, doesn't invalidate the budget. It just means
Got
it's
Did you hear that? Okay,
yes, I heard that. I make a motion that we adopt a budget for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021 and ending on September 30, 2022, authorizing certain adjustments to the budget and including provisional procedures.
thank you.
Procedural provisions, excuse me, that was.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mike, how do you vote?
So yes. to adopt the
Dan
budget.
is a yes.
Yes.
Sam is a yes, and Lisa made the motion, so the motion carries. Okay, we will move on to the third item of discussion. The Parks Department has been wanting to remove 4 trees that are diseased in the park, or something's wrong with them.
Well, they froze too. They're damaged from the frost.
And are you gonna get rid of the 2 hackberries too?
Yes, it's for four trees.
Okay, 2 that are already damaged and 2 that are just.
And they're pretty much right around the playground area.
I know it is. Is that gonna include, planting new ones, or is that gonna be next year's budget for the parks budget, possibly?
No, this is just the removal and then the removal of the trees and the stumps.
Oh, okay, good.
And so the bid that I got for the trees to replace them, 3 trees, was about $420, I
Yeah.
guess. But we'll know tonight if I have enough to even, I might be able to buy them
Oh,
before the
okay.
end of the year.
Now, so we have 3 bids. Cooper Allen just removed trees for me. And he said wherever you remove the trees, you can't plant a tree right at that very same spot, because he's putting poison on that root in addition to grinding it out.
Okay.
So he doesn't recommend planting a tree right on the same spot.
But it can be new.
It could be
He'll let you know
close.
where.
Yes,
Mayor,
Lisa.
if I may, I'd like to let it be known for the record that I will be abstaining from not only voting on this item, but also about discussion. I will not have any discussion.
Okay. I think it would be okay, but I will respect your wish. Okay,
Thank you.
so we have 3 bids that we've gotten, one from Versatility Mills. This one's pretty old. I don't know that much about him.
One,
This one, Versatility Mills.
We have
And then one is from Cody G, who does a lot of our work out at the treatment plant. He doesn't have the machine to grind out the stumps. That's why his is $1,800.
but he says here, remove roots or grind stumps.
Oh, did he say
Yeah,
that?
it's in there.
for 18.
Or he just says, remove 2 china berries, 1 small, 1 medium, and it says remove roots or grind stumps.
When I've talked to him, he makes it level with the ground. He does not have the machine to grind them out.
Based on if we accepted this quote, we would hold him to that requirement though. So he would either have to rent that machine or what have you.
To that quote.
Okay, for me, what, 18, 20, that's 500, that's $400. If he's grinding the stumps, I mean, this is the better deal. However, if he doesn't grind the stumps, it's probably a wash.
Well, and it's important for us to have those stumps ground out
Yeah.
because then
So-
you don't have something you're gonna trip over.
So my question is, if we do, I mean, like Jared says, can we hold him? He says 1,800, we're gonna hold him to remove roots or grind stumps. I guess remove roots, I mean, get a backhoe in there and dig it up? Is that,
That's what he initially said, was that he has the machine and he would like pull it out.
okay? So it's all the same amount of trees, right? 4 trees?
Yes. Well, he actually said something about removing,
5 trees total, right?
no, well, it's 4, but I thought, oh, here, large, in his bid there, large mulberry, mitigate, remove 2 very large dangerous branches hanging over swing set and parking lot near the road. So he did add that into the bid, the big mulberry tree that's on the right side of the property line by the Walker's house, that's very rotten.
So he's including a 6th tree?
Well, he's not removing on the mulberry, he's not removing the tree completely. He's just removing 2 branches that are
Oh,
over
okay.
the swing set and parking lot.
Oh,
Okay.
Well, the other two are removing.
The other two bids are not removing
Oh.
tree limbs on. mulberry.
I guess the only question I have, I mean, $400, that's a chunk of change. I mean, 1,800 is a better deal than 22, if he removes the stumps. That's the only stipulation. So if he removes,
Roots or grind stumps.
so,
So he's saying one or the other, so he'll remove
Do
the
you,
roots
do you have
or
comments?
grind the stumps. He won't do both. Just grind
I
all
like
stumps
Cody's.
below ground level.
But I also think, as the mayor mentioned, that it is good that Cooper does already have a machine to remove the stumps completely, and that's with a stump grinder, you know.
but, you know, if you remove this, if you move it with a backhoe or you stump grind, it's all the same.
Somewhat, I'm just hoping though that, I know that Cody does a lot of other work for us. I don't know if he's still mowing the
Yes, he
treatment
is.
plant. I would just hope that,
And he's gonna have a lot of trees to take down out there.
I was just hoping though that if Cody being so busy, that we could get somebody to get it done as soon as possible, because
Oh, so there's a time factor here.
I want to get it out of the remaining money in this fiscal year's budget. I don't want
So-
to take it out of the next year's money. That's why I'm trying to.
So
get it
do you
done.
know the time difference versus,
Before the end of the fiscal year. We cut the contract though before the end of the fiscal year on accrual base. It's still,
think you gotta do the work.
are we doing it on the
No,
expense?
but
I think you've got to do the work to recognize the expense.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. No, we're not-
I guess my question is, so Cooper can do it within next week, right?
Well, from what we're hearing, he would have to do it by the 30th of the
Thursday.
month.
30th this,
He can do it tomorrow.
okay, 30th of this month. Okay.
Tomorrow.
So
Well,
if we don't,
Day after
so
tomorrow.
if we don't do it, then we
No,
lose,
tomorrow and the next.
we lose the,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it goes into next year.
goes into next year.
Oh.
It goes into,
Friday is next year.
okay, so does it go into the back end of the Parks Fund or the general fund?
Goes to the general fund, I thought.
Yeah,
But so if we're going to take the understanding that the work has to be completed before the end of the fiscal year for, I'm okay with that. It's not always that way, but that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So if that's the case, if it's completed by Thursday midnight, we're all okay. It's going on this year's park budget. If it goes into next fiscal year, it's going to come out of next fiscal year's park budget. If there's remaining funds in the parks budget at the end of this year, that's going to be rolled into the total budget surplus that will then be decided on what do we do with that in a future council meeting.
So Cody, you don't know about Cody's schedule, about if he didn't get to it. And this other individual, you don't,
Is this versus?
No, I don't.
same price.
Same price.
Okay.
But he does not, Versatility Mills does not have a stump grinder.
Okay, so my personal opinion, it's down to these two, Cooper and Alston Tree Doctor, Cody.
Yes.
I like the price of the 18, removing the stump. However, we need to get it done. I don't want to lose the chance to remove those trees with our current budget with the park. So,
I mean, if the check is written, does it have to clear before the end of the year?
No, it's not really a function of the check. It's the work has to be done.
Ah,
And Cooper can do it tomorrow.
okay.
so my question to you, Mr. Council Person, is Cody, can Cody do it by Thursday?
I'm not
No.
sure. I'd have to make a phone call, but I think, from what the mayor says, that Cooper is available before then.
Okay, so your experience with Cody, I mean, is he pretty prompt on getting stuff done on schedule?
I don't know personally,
No.
but I know that.
No?
Typically, we have to schedule him in advance.
Way in advance.
Like what's that?
A week would be fast, usually a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to be the case on this one, but our typical dealings with, it's a week or two of coordination.
I'd like to nominate Cooper Tree Service for this job.
Is
Do I
that a
have to make
motion?
Make a motion to nominate Joe, did you have something to say about it?
I would like to say something, if you don't mind, anybody?
About the tree thing?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, all the bids, are they all, include like, removal of the tree from the park, the stump grinder or killing of the stump or the backhoe, are they all, the same price or they have
Yeah.
different prices?
They have different prices.
But do they, like, one company might not do the stump,
You
or
can
they
tell
all
them
gonna
what
do
it
the
is.
stump, or they all gonna remove the roots?
They're all, the
Well, it says
one
they're
that
all
we're
going-
voting on, he's gonna remove
Yeah.
the roots and which one is? Grind out stumps below ground level.
Right. Okay.
So if we're gonna do it, and that's an extra $200. We can tell him how much the bid is, can't we?
For sure.
Yeah, we have two for 2,200 and one bid for 1,800.
Okay. Because I know a gentleman, he lives like between Maxwell and Lockhart. He's got his buckets and he does tree service.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
You
he
need
does.
to have him,
If you-
Mm-hmm.
see, we've already gotten 3 bids,
You already
so
got the 3
we're,
bids?
yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of
I was
late.
thinking about it.
Have him bring a card
I'll
Yeah.
ask him.
so that we know we probably have other
Yeah,
work,
he's got a couple of
especially
trucks.
in the park.
Yeah. He's got a
So,
couple of trucks there. His name is,
does he have equipment too?
Mario Medina Tree Service.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's got it on the truck.
He's been around a long time.
Mario
Yeah.
Medina.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll
Thank you.
keep him in mind, next time, try to at least let him know that we're looking for a bid.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the bid that we have received from Cooper Allen to remove the trees and the 4 trees and grind down the stumps in Allen Bates Park.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, the motion carries.
And I abstain, Mayor.
Yes,
Oh.
thank you.
And any other thing, anything else on the
And
agenda?
that's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, wait,
Yeah,
Oh,
Go
question?
ahead, Jim.
did you want to say something?
Are we going to talk about future things?
Well,
We
not,
did that
this
last
is a
week.
special
Okay.
meeting,
Yeah.
so next week we
Okay.
get to meet again. And
Yippee.
It's been a busy
it's our
month.
regular city council,
Every week this month.
it's our regular city
Oh,
council meeting.
We have to
next
do it
week.
next Tuesday. too?
That's our regular city council meeting.
Okay, I guess I'll show up.
So did you motion?
Make a motion that we adjourn?
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, same time next week.
As for the opposed.
Oh, are there any nays? We want to stay here longer.
Joe wants to stay here, but yeah, thanks for that.